Police forces around the world are called upon to respond to emergencies and keep law and order in the communities they serve. But as people gain access to faster and more powerful vehicles and pose threats never before seen, the police have no choice but to keep up with the latest technology. In some cases, it almost seems as if they've gone too far, and in this video, we'll be taking a look at 15 over-the-top police vehicles from around the world. Number 15. 2014 X-Cat. Police forces that operate in regions with a lot of water need to have the ability to go out to the open ocean to perform their duties, and while most have basic boats to do so, some have taken a different route and gone all out. By far, the most over-the-top police boat in the world is owned by the police in Dubai, and it's insanely fast. Known as an X-Cat, it was donated to the force by Dubai Sheikh Hamdan and cost $400,000 brand new. It has twin outboard 4-stroke 350 horsepower Mercury engines that can produce 700 horsepower to give top speeds in excess of 100 miles per hour across flat water. It's extremely lightweight with a hull made of carbon fiber, and when it's fully unleashed, it zips ahead of any other pleasure craft. But despite being as hydrodynamic as possible, it's a bumpy ride. It's so fast, in fact, that the boat is only occasionally used for law enforcement duties, and the rest of the time it's raced in the X-Cat World Series. Incredibly, a few years ago, it won the tournament, proving, if there was ever any doubt, that it's one of the fastest watercraft on Earth. Number 14. Lenco Bearcat G3. The Lenco Bearcat G3 is an armored personnel carrier created by the Massachusetts-based company and specifically designed for use by military and law enforcement organizations. First revealed in 1999, it's 20 feet long, 10 feet wide, and 12 feet tall. It's operated by a 2-person crew and can carry up to 10 passengers, and not only is it protected by a thick covering of steel armor plating, but it also comes equipped with a rotating roof hatch that can have a weapon mounted to it and a number of side gun ports too. For example, the Lenco Bearcat G3 is a popular model that's used by SWAT and special reaction teams, and it's ideal for approaching dangerous situations. The use of these vehicles has been credited with saving a number of officers' lives, including in 2010 in Texas when a perpetrator fired 25 rounds from an AK-47 at police, and not a single one was able to penetrate the Bearcat's armor. Also offering the option of a battering ram attachment, electric winches, a CS gas deployment nozzle, radiation detection systems, and thermal cameras, the Bearcat provides virtually everything officers need to confidently approach and tackle any situations that develop. Number 13. Dubai Police Ferrari FF. Dubai is well known as being the playground of the rich and famous, and has the highest number of supercars per capita of anywhere in the world. While it may look amazing to have so many fast vehicles on your roads, it began to pose a real problem to the police force, who with basic police cars were simply unable to keep up. To prevent anyone who can afford a fast car from being able to ignore the rules of the road, the authorities began to equip officers with equally as impressive machines. One of the ones that stand out most is their Ferrari FF, which has a top speed of 208 miles per hour and is able to accelerate from 0 to 62 miles an hour in just 3.7 seconds. Only 2,291 of these cars were ever produced, each with an asking price of $300,000, but the Ferrari FF is just one of a number of fast rides that they have acquired. There's also a Lamborghini Aventador and a Chevrolet Camaro SS, which all have established the Dubai Police as undoubtedly being the fastest and best equipped force in the world. If you ever find yourself driving on the roads there, the best advice is to keep the rules at all time, because there's no way you'll be able to outpace them if it comes to it. Number 12. The Rook. With increasingly dangerous accidents around the country, U.S. police forces have turned to cutting-edge technology to help them deal with emerging threats. One of these is called the Rook, and it's proved to be so effective that the SWAT teams of more than 25 different police forces across the country have at least one at their disposal that they use to tear down buildings, block active shooters, or even inject gas into rooms. The incredible machine, which costs $315,000, is based upon a Caterpillar chassis, but has some significant upgrades. It has thick steel armor, night vision, thermal imaging, multiple cameras, and 4 different attachments depending on what it's being used for. It can be fitted with an armor deployment platform, which has gun ports, bulletproof glass, and a thick shield, or it can be equipped with a hydraulic breaching ram with 6,500 psi of pressure that can break through walls or reinforce doors. There's also a vehicle extraction tool that can move or immobilize vehicles, and a grapple claw that can be used to move doors and debris out of the way. The Rook has completely changed the way these forces deal with active threats, because it simply allows the team to punch through walls, which would previously have been impenetrable, so the danger is eliminated far quicker. It's partly responsible for a reduced number of casualties in the most dangerous incidents, and it's hard to imagine how they ever managed before Rooks were available. Number 11. MRAP Truck. Mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicles, or MRAPs for short, were originally designed for use by the U.S. military for war zones where the use of improvised explosive devices and ambushes are becoming more common. The program began in 2007, and over the next 5 years, more than 12,000 of these vehicles were deployed. But at home, law enforcement agencies began looking at how effective they could be for their uses too. MRAPs were first deployed by domestic forces in 2012 in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, where their heavy build allows them to drive through flooded streets that were blocked with debris, and they were credited with saving countless lives. They've since gone on to be deployed for various different law enforcement uses, such as emergency response to active shooters and assisting with kidnapping cases. The U.S. Department of Defense found itself in ownership of 13,000 MRAPs following the scaling back of operations abroad, and rather than letting them go to waste, began a program whereby they were loaned out to more than 780 police forces across the country. Usually the gun turret is removed because this capability isn't needed in a domestic setting, and all the agencies need to do to get one is prove that they have to deal with threats like shootings, SWAT operations, and drug busts, which virtually covers all of them. The chances are, if you live in the US, that there's one of these trucks in a police garage and ready to deploy near you right now. Number 10. Sea Panther. With a city boundary that includes 263 islands, the police force in Hong Kong has one of the biggest needs for watercraft of any in the world. In fact, they operate as a completely separate division called the Marine Region Branch, and they have more than 142 boats, which is by far the most owned by any police force authority in the world. There are a mixture of small, high-speed vessels and larger, more powerful ones, but the two that are the most impressive are the Sea Panther-class vessels. They entered service in 1988 and act as mobile command units whereby all operations are seen, but they're also extremely effective at performing law enforcement roles on their own. Each one is 130 feet long and weighs around 475 tons. They can reach speeds of up to 14 knots, which is the equivalent of around 16 miles an hour, and have space on board to accommodate a crew of up to 33 people. Originally, both of these boats were equipped with two 12.7mm machine guns, but in recent years, in order to try and de-escalate conflicts, they've been removed in favor of less lethal weapons. Despite this, they play a pivotal role in Hong Kong's police activities and have helped lead it to becoming one of the safest marine regions in the world. Number 9. Japanese Police Lexus LC500. As the home of technology and with a population obsessed with fast and glamorous cars, the Japanese police have for a long time had to deal with vehicles traveling at crazy speeds along the public highways. They faced a similar problem to other authorities around the world in that the cars they had at their disposal simply couldn't keep up with the higher-end street-legal vehicles. And so, if you had a powerful enough car, you were, for all intents and purposes, untouchable. This situation couldn't be allowed to go on, so in 2020 a police department in the Tochigi prefecture of northern Tokyo revealed their latest car, a Lexus LC500. Styled to look like it's been taken from a futuristic sci-fi movie, it has red flashing lights on top and also in the front of the grille. With a 464 brake horsepower 5-liter V8 engine, it's able to reach speeds in excess of 165 miles an hour and has an insane acceleration speed to go with it. This means that virtually no other car on Tokyo's roads is able to outrun it, and it's been specifically assigned to dealing with supercar owners who see speed limits as an advisory number rather than something that needs to be adhered to at all times. We're constantly adding more people to the Top 5's production team to bring you all the best content. Be sure to subscribe with Zero Motorcycles MMX Stealth Electric Motorcycle. Originally designed for use by the military, the MMX Stealth electric motorcycle from a company called Zero Motorcycles has become a clear favorite of police authorities across America over the past decade. With a top speed of 85 miles per hour, the ability to accelerate from 0 to 60 miles an hour in just 4.4 seconds, and designed to be able to keep going through water that's up to 3.2 feet deep, it may not be the fastest bike available, but it allows officers to chase criminals far further than was ever possible before. What's even more impressive is that this is a surprisingly cheap motorcycle to operate because it's fully electric powered. It costs less than 50 cents to fully charge the batteries, and very little maintenance is required apart from the tires. A further advantage of this is that they don't produce any harmful emissions. It's perfectly safe to operate them indoors, meaning officers can follow their suspects virtually anywhere they might dare go. The other benefit of being electric is that the engine isn't anywhere near as noisy as a petrol-powered motorcycle, and this means officers can travel through traffic without anyone knowing that they're approaching. This stealth aspect should, in theory, allow them to apprehend people without so much of a risk to them trying to escape, and this reduces the chances of a dangerous high-speed chase from occurring. Number 6. Italian State Police Lamborghini Huracan. Italy is home to the largest number of high-performance vehicle manufacturers in the world, and while most of the cars they produce are exported to other countries, there's a large number of them that are sold to domestic clients. With style and fashion being a part of their national identity, it makes sense, then, that the Italian State Police has a selection of fast cars to help carry out their duties, but they aren't solely used for enforcing traffic violations. Most famously, they have a Lamborghini Huracan, a car that has a 5.2-liter V10 engine and can reach a top speed of 212 miles an hour, with the ability to accelerate from 0 to 60 in just 2.5 seconds. This speed certainly helps them catch road users with similarly impressive cars, but in November of 2020 it was used for something far more important. The Huracan has also been adapted with a refrigerated box in the trunk, and this allows it to perform vital deliveries of human organs when time is of the essence. It managed to transport a kidney from Rome to Padua, which is a distance of more than 300 miles, in just 2 hours, which must have been quite a sight for any normal road users who were out that day. Number 5. Interceptor Patrol Boat. The question of what falls under jurisdiction of police forces and what's the responsibility of the Coast Guard can be tricky in cities that are on coastlines, and the solution is usually for the two agencies to work together to create a well-patrolled region, where drug smuggling and other criminal enterprises are virtually impossible. In late 2019, BMT announced the delivery of an Ares 85 Hercules patrol interceptor vessel to the Royal Oman Police, and it was put straight into service. With a top speed of 52 knots, which is the equivalent of 60 miles per hour, it's been specifically designed to be able to maintain fast speeds no matter how choppy the water may be. The Ares 85 Hercules is said to be surprisingly efficient and maneuverable even when in high-speed pursuits, and it's also incredibly quiet, which allows it to stealthily sneak up on suspicious vessels to give them as little chance to flee as possible. If the initial orders by the Oman police prove to be a worthwhile investment, it's quite likely boats like these will be purchased by other police forces around the world and will help them keep up with the new methods being used by criminals to try to evade capture. Interceptor Utility. If you live in the US, you're probably more than familiar with the Ford Police Interceptor Utility, which is one of the most common police vehicles used by officers across the country. In fact, more than half of new police car sales each year are of Interceptor Utility, and that's because it's so versatile. Ford has worked with law enforcement for more than 70 years and see this model as the result of that effort. And while it may look like a Ford Explorer SUV that's available to civilians, this is a far more powerful vehicle. With the top speed of 150 miles per hour and the ability to accelerate from 0 to 60 in just 5.7 seconds, it's by far the fastest vehicle that's used by American police forces. But there's much more to it than sheer power. With steel wheels, improved ABS and traction control systems, better cooling systems, and a central console designed to house police equipment, such as scanners and radios, the Interceptor Utility gives officers all the tools they need at their disposal to carry out their duties as quickly, safely, and as efficiently as possible, making it undoubtedly the best all-around vehicle used by any police force in the world. Number 2. Eurocopter EC-135. While cars are the most common vehicles used by police forces, there are plenty of occasions where they aren't able to respond quickly enough to an emerging threat. This can be because city roads are too full of traffic, or if the incident is in too remote an area. So in these cases, helicopters are used to be the first on scene, to analyze and start recording before ground-based officers can get there. One of the most popular models that are used around the world is the Eurocopter EC-135, which was first brought into service in 1996. The twin-engine utility chopper can carry up to 7 passengers, along with monitoring equipment, and has a top speed of 178 miles per hour. Now made by Airbus, more than 1,400 of these helicopters have been delivered to over 300 organizations around the world in at least 60 countries. What's great about the EC-135 is that it can be customized for its intended purpose and is often used for medical transports, private flights, and, of course, used by the police. They're mostly used by forces across Europe and North America and have proven to be a cost-effective and highly reliable model. In many ways, the EC-135 changed the face of aerial surveillance when it was released, and it's a testament to the design that more than 25 years after their first flight, it's still the helicopter of choice for most authorities. Number 1. Tesla Model X. Car manufacturers around the world have committed to developing vehicles with far fewer emissions. But rather than the traditional companies leading the way, it's a relative newcomer, Tesla, that's really led the charge. While the technology is certainly much better than it was even a decade ago, there are still questions around the reliability of vehicles that are battery-powered, and this is a particular concern in law enforcement, where officers need to know their vehicle will be able to follow criminals wherever they go. In an attempt to dissuade these fears and to modernize their vehicles, several police forces have now got their hands on a Tesla Model X. In June of 2019, for example, the Victoria Police in Australia became one of the first to take the Tesla out onto the road as part of a feasibility study, and the early indications show that it's been a game changer. As the cabin is so technologically advanced already for consumers, it's proved to be fairly simple to install all of the equipment that officers need in their day-to-day roles, and Tesla themselves have a team of dedicated engineers to ensure things happen smoothly. The Model X is also an incredibly powerful vehicle, with the ability to accelerate from 0 to 60 in less than 3 seconds. And this means it can outpace virtually any other car on the road, something that ensures officers can react to development quickly and hopefully prevent high-speed chases from even getting started. Electric vehicles are now being used by more and more police forces, which will significantly reduce their carbon footprint, and also normalize the idea of cars like these for other uses on the road too. It's quite likely that in a decade or so, the vast majority of police fleets will be made up of low-emission cars, and this Tesla Model X in police livery is just the beginning. Watch our Vehicles playlist for more top 15 videos about amazing vehicles. Sit back, relax, and binge watch all of our best vehicle videos.